Mate, there we go. Look at that. Professional.
Sounds good.
Matt Gondek, how was that, man? Walking in.
Man, I just came right in here. I haven't seen people in person in a long time. It's nice to see you.
It's really nice to see you, mate. It's really weird, isn't it? It's so weird being sat here with a human being. We've been doing 3 or 4 podcasts remotely on Zoom. You've done a bunch, right?
Yeah. You know what I just read about that? There's this whole thing where everyone who's using Zoom, everyone thought it was really cool and fun, and I did too. And the more you use it, the more you get really depressed.
Yeah.
And apparently there's all these social cues that people pick up on seeing people in real life, like eyes, movement. And because it's so laggy, your brain tries to fill in the blanks, and it's making people depressed and like worn out and tired using Zoom all the time.
Zoom fatigue.
Zoom fatigue.
I'm with it. I mean, I imagine it's the same for you, but yesterday I think I clocked 5 hours on Zoom.
That's ridiculous.
5 hours of, probably an even 5 calls, 5 meetings on Zoom.
Yeah.
And all that stuff you're saying there, that rings true, man, because with a few of the meetings, there's that little lag.
Yeah.
And sometimes that does your head in because you're kind of constantly interrupting everyone.
You just can't have a flow. And also, it bugs me a lot that the people that think it's cute to have like an animated background, like what it really just does is lag down everyone's conversation so your background looks cute. Amazing. Good for you. I don't know. I'm just over Zoom completely. Speaking of me being an asshole, I got one more cool thing I just learned.
Yeah.
During the time this has all been going on, I haven't taken an Uber in maybe 2-3 months. My car is broken down right now, so I take an Uber here. When you get a car now, there's an option. Do you want the driver to talk to you? I fucking hit that button immediately. No.
I heard they made that an option for you.
I've been complaining about it for a long time.
Too many complaints, mate. Too many 1 and 2 star reviews for your drivers. Yeah, you know what? I used that the other day, and don't they say that you can have like the temperature?
Yeah, temperature and then conversation.
Yeah. Music?
Just those 2.
They need a music option.
Yeah, boiling hot and don't talk to me. That's my 5-star Uber.
Yeah, and the driver's got to be naked.
Hell yeah.
Well, if they're a man. Otherwise, you get into all sorts of dangerous
You're still
territory.
making these gay jokes in 2020 on this podcast?
That's not a gay joke.
You're implying that I'm gay. How do you know I'm gay, and what's the matter if I am?
No. What I'm saying is, when I said the Uber driver's got to be naked, I suddenly thought, well, if it's Matt Gondek sitting in the back of like a young female Uber driver, and I've just said that she's got to be naked,
safety for her.
That's dangerous.
Yes.
But if it's a dude, that's
okay,
less
fair.
dangerous.
All right, fair.
Did I?
Yeah.
Nice. Mate, welcome into our studio. Setup's a little bit different this time.
Looks great. It's fine.
Do you like it?
It's fine.
What do you mean it's fine?
I honestly,
fine's not overwhelming.
In the trying times that we live in, we're really far sitting apart from each other. I'm speaking into a ladder for the people that's not watching the video, so it's fine.
You're Matt Gondek.
Working.
Everyone's going to be watching the video.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, we've got a ladder, and that is for the simple reason that we usually use this coffee table in the podcast studio, the dedicated podcast studio.
Yeah.
We shouldn't go in there because we're too close.
Too close. We're getting infected.
And all of our other tables in the studio are too thick for the clamps for the mics.
This works fine. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
It's very like it fits the whole Secret Walls motif, like DIY. Like it's a paint ladder. I like it. I think it's great. You walk in here, you wouldn't even have to tell anybody, like, yeah, this is our fucking set. I'll be like, yeah, of course it is. This looks great.
We don't even have to do the podcast. People are like, yeah, I get this.
Yeah, it's sick.
I get what's going on.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it looks great, man. It looks like an art installation. Emmett built it. I also love the way we walked on. To me, this feels like some kind of exclusive podcast. I felt a little bit like Zane Lowe when he interviewed Kanye West. So you'd be Kanye West in this scenario.
Okay.
And also, mate, hope you don't mind me bringing you out like this, but you actually asked for this interview.
I did not ask for this interview. Terry has DM'd me once every 3 days. How many episodes have you done now?
Oh, really? Maybe this will be our 8th or 9th.
So what is that, 9 weeks of him asking me?
Emmett, what is it? 8th.
Okay, well, 8 weeks, finally I'm like, fine.
Okay, that's fair, but do you know what? I didn't say that to be like challenging.
Also, I'm glad to, why wouldn't I want to come here? Have a nice little chat. You guys are my friends. This is a nice time.
But when I got the text, which was like, it was quite Kanye West-like, and I enjoyed it. It was like, Jimmy, it's time. Next week,
yeah,
one stipulation.
in person.
We got to do this shit in person.
Yeah.
And I went, ooh, because it made me think like Matt Gondek's got something to say.
I got nothing to say.
Really?
I just want to see people.
You come with no agenda?
Nothing.
You didn't even want to mention the fact that we copied your artwork.
Artwork or podcast?
From Clean Break, artwork.
Oh, yeah.
I call it artwork. I call it like...
I think it's pretty implied. Everyone knows that.
Oh. All right, mate, let's jump straight into it.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
So, first thing that strikes me about you, Matt Gondek, is your confidence and self-belief.
Wow.
Would you agree that you got that now?
Yeah, agreed. I know I have that. It came from a long line of eating shit for a long time and having no confidence and kind of tricking that whole fake it till you make it, 150%.
Yeah?
Yeah, everyone says that, but I'm not like this in real life.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because dude, when I hang out with you and when we did the podcast on Clean Break and the other podcasts I've heard you on, and you'll host Secret Walls and be in Secret Walls and talk in front of a massive audience there. Like, I like it about you, man. I find it quite an attractive trait of yours. You're direct, confident, very clearly spoken, quite sharp.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of my question. It's like, and that's awesome. You're starting to answer it there. So it wasn't always like that.
No, dude. It was so funny.
What were you like as a kid then?
I was like really shy. Got picked on a lot. I came from a really small town where there wasn't a lot of other kids like me that liked to draw or liked comic books or punk rock. Everyone was either hunting or like sports, which is fine. Just wasn't into that. So I didn't have a ton of friends growing up. I didn't really, kind of bloom until I went to art school and then started meeting like-minded people and really kind of flourished there. But all the confidence, all the directness, everything comes from, I've been doing this for about 14 years, got started in the music industry, and that's a hard industry to break into and make money in. So I was constantly getting taken advantage of. Like when you're young and, like, for example, like My Chemical Romance, whether or not you like that band, that's a big name. Kanye West, right? Say Kanye West manager, My Chemical Romance manager hits you up, hey, 22-year-old artist, you want to do a shirt design? You're going to basically bend over backwards to do anything just to get something with that person's name on it, right? I was there for years. So I was doing stuff, working 4 days nonstop to not get paid, getting ripped off, having my stuff stolen, like, hey, Matt, we need to start work tomorrow. And then 7 months go by, I don't get paid yet. So, like, over time I learned how to articulate what I want from clients and articulate how I want to steer my career, how to stand up for myself. And now, my point is with the Clean Break podcast and my outward everything, try to educate other young artists to, like, you can be shy and you can be like mellow and everything, but you got to stick up for yourself because art's hard and you're going to get ripped off if you don't stand up for yourself because no one else gives a shit about you.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I was going to ask you about the driving force behind Clean Break. And the question I was going to ask is, like, why is it so important? Like, Clean Break is clearly about kind of helping up-and-coming artists, which is awesome. And there are obvious answers to this, but I was going to ask you, like, why is it so important that you help people? Not that I want to answer the question I'm giving you, but is part of it that it's like, it's like therapy for you. You're almost speaking to that younger, less confident version of yourself that got kind of like taken advantage of or bullied or whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
Another thing that a lot of people say, like, once they meet me and they start to hear me, they're like, you're not how we thought you'd be in real life. Like, I'm really down to earth. I'm come from a very small town. Wasn't born wealthy, anything. And I've always, since I started my career, kind of wanted to share what I've learned. Like, I used to have like a blog back in the day that I'd share like how to write an invoice, and I used to own a store and I'd share that stuff. And really what the catalyst was, I used to live in Pittsburgh, and then I moved here about 6 or 7 years ago. When I first moved here, I didn't have any connections. There's a very well-known artist that's based here, and at the time, his girlfriend was offering art consultation for $500, which at the time was way too much money for me to spend on anything. But I took a chance, and I paid her the $500, and I met with her for about 4 hours, and she gave me a lot of really valuable information and a PDF of like some bullet points that I should follow. And I did all of it, and it really worked. It was great. Like, she actually gave me this great advice. But the problem was I emailed her, a couple months later to kind of follow up to get more crickets. Wouldn't even respond to my messages. And I thought, well, that's kind of fucked. Yeah. And it kind of put this bad taste in my mouth. I was like, well, fuck, like, I spent all this money on this stuff, and it's not rocket science. I'm just going to give this away for free. So I started doing that. And the second part of why I do the podcast, we live in Los Angeles. You're here. You know, everybody that's of note at some point comes here to do a mural, for an art show, for an event. And I see a lot of them all the time. Why not take an hour, pick their brain, and see if I can pull something out that can help their fan base of younger artists? You know, like, why the fuck would I not do that? Why is everybody not doing this shit? I give you guys a hard time for starting your own podcast, but like, we have all these fucking resources at our fingertips. Like, it takes me almost no time to record the podcast and share that shit. Why not do it?
Yeah, I'm with you completely, mate. And also, you know, say a goal of yours might be to like make some money, and it feels good to make some money or get some fame or followers on Instagram. That feels good. I also feel like there is a bit of a kind of currency to helping people as well. And, you know, not a lot of people will maybe admit that or speak about that, but I think it's fine. Like, it feels good. There is reward in helping people. You know, there's validation in it, in being that person that's kind of useful and has the advice. Like, would you agree with that? Is that something that's like conscious for you, or would you say it's like more selfless than that?
No, it's definitely not selfless. I'm not like a fucking angel or anything. I just... A little bit, yeah. Thank you.
With that blonde hair.
I look gorgeous. I'm glad we're recording this a video. Obviously, it feels great to help people. And, you know, especially since this whole COVID-19 thing happened, we really kind of leaned in and shared some information how like people can make money right now without leaving their house. You know, like resources for artists and all this stuff. And it's cool to see that I'm not just yelling into the fucking void. Like, people are taking this information and doing something with it that's benefiting their life or helping them right now. And then they're telling me that. And it's like, fuck, this is awesome. You know, like, I'm actually helping somebody, and it's a really good feeling. Yeah, maybe it is selfish. I don't know. I like the feeling of knowing that I can help people.
Well, there's a little bit of reward there.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
But if there wasn't, why would anyone do anything?
Why would anyone? Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Mate, did you ever find out why the art consultant girl aired you?
No. I actually saw her 2 years ago, and she came up to me and said hi, and like, but I didn't bring it up because like it's you know, it's years ago. No, I don't know. It's
probably not important, but I haven't really heard of that. I've heard of like a consultant, you know, an art consultant for a brand, telling a brand what's up, and you know, this is the cool trend, and all that kind of shit. But that sounds almost like a therapist for artists.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what she said. I had just moved here to LA. I was trying to get my first gallery show. And she says, well, what do you have now? And like, I showed her, like, oh, I have these drawings. I have some stuff on the computer. I have like this painting that's 2 feet tall. I have this 6-inch painting. She's like, okay, so you have like a bunch of random shit. Like that doesn't work. Like, you need to make 4 30 by 40 inch canvas pieces and then do one really big one. Get those 5 pieces as a starter and use that. That was basically the beginning of the advice she gave me. And I did. And now I had things I could show people, like, here's a collection, you know? And that was the beginning of what she told me, but it really did help.
Mate, shame she just ghosted you after that.
I know.
Matt Gondek.
What?
Do you attribute like all of your success to kind of like logical scientific reasons?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
There's no part of you, there's no kind of like, just I've heard on a podcast interview where you're kind of talking about like you were a little kid and you kind of set the intention of, I'm going to be an artist living in Los Angeles or something like that. So when stuff like that kind of unfolds before your eyes, are you kind of straight like logic, science, not any kind of like spirituality, intention setting? Like, what's your kind of, you know, what do you feel like is going on with life and creativity? Massive question.
I mean, I've always, since I was a kid, I remember my mom gave me this birthday card when I was 8, and it's this kind of like a little comic you had to color and draw in and like answer the questions in the book by drawing. I remember at 8, I drew myself, and it said Hollywood, and it said, I'm a famous artist. And I've known since my entire life up to this point, like, that's what I wanted. I wanted to move to Los Angeles, be a well-known artist. And then maybe a different way to answer your question, I'm not spiritual at all. I'm very factual, logic, direct. However, because of that, I don't put a lot of emotion into my life or don't leave time for it. And if people have been following my career at all, the last 2 years were really rocky because, like I said, I've been doing this for 14 years, and I kind of devoted all my attention, my energy, my heart into my career. And it worked. My career took off. I'm doing amazing. But it left a lot of loose ends around my everything, meaning I was in a failing marriage. You know, I'm not going to say I was 100% to blame. You know, it's always two ways, but I was in a failing marriage. I was making bad decisions, who to bring in close to my life. Like, I'm sure people know about my past assistant. If they do, if they don't, has some issues there. Anyway, I realized last summer, 2019, last summer, I was going into it. My best friend assistant, I just had a fire. I was getting divorced, and I was miserable, but I was so wealthy, and my career was going so well, and my paintings sell the minute I fucking take the brush off them. So how can I be miserable? And it's because I'm not spiritual. I only focused on the fucking facts right in front of me. And I spent the last year kind of pull back a little bit, trying to just breathe, you know, have more fun, try to be careful about who and what I let into my life. I don't know. It's been a really a big change, and I've slowed down a lot work-wise, but I found that the work I do make gives me joy, and I do think it's better, and I have more time now for fun and everything. I don't know. It's good.
It's great, mate. But what do you think then was the catalyst for you, like, figuring out that things aren't right, and then, you know, having the kind of wherewithal to go about changing them? Or
I know exactly what it was.
Yeah, go on.
What is it? 2020. It's November of 2018. It's a Complex Con. I had just made more money in one day than I made ever in my life. And I had to go do a signing with J Balvin, this big pop star. And I remember...
What do you mean a signing?
Like, we did a print together.
Okay.
And we were going to go do a signing. And I remember I had to go do this thing. And I walked up to him. And I was just so out of my element and, like, not cool about it. There's, like, all these fucking cameras there and shit. And that is not me at all. I wanted to fucking die right there. And that was with someone who I worked with at the time. And she was furious with me because I wasn't, like, cheesing and, like, shaking his hand like, I love you, like everyone does when you meet a celebrity, like, you fucking suck their ego, right? And I'm like, not that I didn't want to do that, I was just uncomfortable. And she yelled at me, right? Fast forward to Christmas Day, she's at my house, and she's yelling at me about how I kind of act about everything. She's like, you have everything you want, and you're so miserable. I'm like, you're right, I can't argue. And that was that's when I realized things were bad, and then they kind of went into 2019 and the assistant thing, the wife thing. It was, I don't know, I think that was the beginning of it. But there was, like, a good period of time there where everything kind of crashed and fell down and, you know, got destroyed.
Yeah. And do you think that, like, money and success, you know, like, kind of help? Do you think you need those things?
I need them, because if, as sad as the shell as it is, what the fuck have I done in the last 14 years if I didn't have those things? That's all I went for. And I have them. So could you imagine if I was this sad and I didn't have those things? It's fucking sad.
Yeah,
I need them.
That would be sad, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I remember reading something that kind of says, you know, people will say, like, money can't buy happiness. And to some extent, like, I get the sentiment within that. I get what's being said. But I was reading something that's like, you know, if you're making kind of $80,000 a year plus, anything after that, money can't buy you happiness. I don't know if you've seen that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I can't, you know, I buy into that. I think it's not as straightforward as, like, money, you know, money doesn't buy you happiness. I think especially, you know, in Western society, we live in a kind of age where validation is just built into to our psyches. Yeah. You know, and you need to be sort of validated for, you know, financially secure. If you're not in any way, you can really start to freak out.
Especially in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you feel now? Like, kind of mentally and physically feeling good?
Yeah, man. I feel I'm not generalizing everything about the people that left my life, but I really do feel like a huge weight's been lifted off my shoulders. Like, I loved these people, but it just didn't work out for one reason or another. But now I can move forward happier, and I just feel lighter. And I don't know, I feel really good now. Like I said, I slowed down work-wise, and I'm taking time to just enjoy life. And I have a girlfriend, and, you know, we just went away to a lake over the weekend. I'm just having fun, and, like, it's just nice to be alive right now.
You went to a lake?
Yeah, we're trying to find somewhere to go where you could not be around people.
Yeah, right.
So we went to a lake in the desert in Arizona.
You drove there?
Drove there, yeah.
Like 4 hours or something? 6 hours?
Yeah. Trump's America. Holy shit. Every house had a Trump flag in the yard.
Really?
Every one of them. Yeah, it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
The desert.
Yeah. And what did you do? You just got a Did you get an Airbnb?
Yeah, we got an Airbnb, and they now. You probably haven't rented one in a while, but the Airbnb has a sign on the door now. It's like, this place has been professionally disinfected, and like there's hand sanitizer everywhere. But yeah, we rented Airbnb.
Did you have a pool?
Yeah, we had a pool.
Oh, mate. Was it reasonably priced?
It wasn't bad, dude.
Could I afford it, or do you have to be Matt Gondek?
I spent maybe $200 a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to text me the details on that.
All right,
mate.
sure. Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice little getaway. 4 hours. There's a lake.
Yeah.
It was just nice to get out of the city. You know, it was so funny, man. I feel like, as bad as everything is, and I'm not just fucking umbrella terming this, but my entire life, my entire thought process nowadays is mask. That's all I think about every second, mask. I left the house today by accident to get my bike fixed, forgot my mask. When I was out there in the lake, you could forget about masks for a little bit, and obviously there's way worse shit going on.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, to get out of your routine for a couple of days and just fucking kind of just do something else was really nice.
Get out of that mask mentality.
Mask mentality.
Yeah, on the way here, I got out. I wanted to stop to get a little drink from 7-Eleven, and I was in my car. I didn't have my mask on. I walked into 7-Eleven, didn't have my mask on. Saw a person with the mask and like I freaked out.
Yeah.
Like I freaked out, not because I was worried about myself, but I was just like, oh my God, what? This is so rude.
Yeah, you just feel like a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
They looked at me like, this guy's got no mask on. I sprinted back to get my mask and came in just going, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, dude. So what's next? Like how is life now? Oh, you live in downtown where I do. We live really near to each other.
Yeah.
And so just echoing what you said just then, like downtown LA during this time is quite an intense
It's very intense.
place to live, right? Because obviously you're just in the thick of it. So anything that you have to do involves kind of like
you're touching people. Not touching them, but I told my girlfriend, if I'm sure I have it, maybe. I mean, I feel like everyone downtown, how could you not? I'm sorry, I don't want to say that, but how could you not? You're in such close proximity to everybody, like, it's crazy. There's just so many people, like, it's...
Is that why you come here? Have you weaponized yourself?
Yeah, I'm trying to get
You've
the Cigar Walls
definitely
podcast shut down by infecting you all.
You're going to take off your T-shirt and just rub up and down against all the walls.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts around there, man.
Mm-hmm.
And like... yeah, even just going to the 7-Eleven, it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, leading on from that,
Mm-hmm.
like
What's next?
Yeah, what's next? Or like, what work are you doing at the minute? What's your life like now?
Yeah.
And
my life is, I am chilling a bit more than even I was trying to, obviously. My team is all working remotely. Like, anyone who knows my career, I have Taylor. Taylor does my podcast for me. He's like the studio manager. He's working remotely now on the podcast.
yeah.
And then some of my other team, like, kind of helping me do stuff from home. One guy comes in to the studio after hours, where I'll be there till like 4. Then he does a night shift, so we don't come in contact. My day to day hasn't really changed that much. Like I said, I am working, staying busy. I had a show in Japan in March that got canceled.
Yeah.
I have a complete pop-up show built for the summer, but I don't know. But I do have a solo.
What do you mean? It's just ready to go, but
it's ready to go.
It's not got a
done.
home.
Yeah, it doesn't have a home.
Yeah.
It fell through, right? And then I'm currently working on a full big solo exhibition. Tentatively, we have everything signed. It was in October of this year, and hope to God it goes through, because just that's like all I'm working on. So it'd be a shame if that didn't go through.
Yeah. But what's it like then? Because, you've got a team. How many people in your team are capable of like executing paintings to the standard that they need to? Because you've got a team that kind of helps you.
Well, it's
color in some stuff.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to do. His name's Aaron, and I don't want to devalue what he does. He's a great artist,
Yeah, sorry, Aaron. I didn't mean to reduce it to color in some stuff.
But I mean, if you wanted to just dumb it down for people that are not in the paint world, that's kind of what he's doing. Like, because my paintings are such flat colors, there's big areas where it's just a big swatch of yellow or blue, But there's also like getting the canvases prepped. You got to, just so the canvases, paint them white. There's all kinds of little things that I could do, and I did them for years, but I don't need to anymore. I can work faster if I don't do those tiny little things, like it's not the heavy lifting. So that's basically what, assistants help with, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, I
Mm-hmm.
always have been. Because for me, it's like, when you make a vinyl toy or a sculpture, which so many artists do.
Yeah.
For me, it's the same thing. You're not out there like like blowing vinyl into a mold.
Totally,
or,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you need technical assistance with that. But with your assistants, have you just got one that helps you?
I have 3.
Yeah, but so what I was going to
they don't all paint.
Okay, right. Because it would really slow down if, I thought that would also, that's the kind of helpful thing about having assistants, right? The fact that more than one person can work on something at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff.
Now you can't.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. Like, there's obviously stuff that only I'm comfortable doing, like the hard execution stuff. All the line work, I've always only done my line work myself. Certain shading, we have to pull the brush a certain way. I do that, but there's so much stuff that anyone with a basic grasp of painting can do these things to start the painting or whatever. And it just, especially like last year, I did 18 paintings for a show, and it took me forever to do that, so I needed help,
Yeah.
This isn't the thing that only I do. Like, you kind of look at any artist producing the amount of work I do at the prices I do, and like, they have a team. Like, this is just, it's scaling a business. Like, one thing I always talk about on my podcast is like, I really treat what I do as a business. And any business to grow, they need more hands on deck. It's fucking step one. And I'm no different.
Well, I also think as well with your particular like style of art that essentially for me the kind of the bit that makes me go, this is amazing. Yeah, there's definitely a bit of it that's kind of standing in front of this painting and looking at these lines and how flat the color are and how something that looks so unreal has been painted by hand and almost looks kind of like printed or made like that. Yeah, there's a certain amount of like amazingness that I get from that. But really it's the concept for me, So I guess what I'm saying is if you're like an abstract expressionist, then your paintings are all about the way you splash paint across the canvas and, move that stuff. Then maybe it's like if you had an assistant there,
it wouldn't work.
It's a bit strange.
Yeah, totally.
But for me, it's like, you've got kind of like human printers and you're a human printer yourself.
Yeah.
Because the art is constructed in your head first. And then and you can obviously tell me what you think on that. But the cherry on top is the fact that it's then made into this beautiful, big, large-scale physical thing that's been painted by hand.
Yeah, totally. And if you didn't know a lot about painting, you would maybe not even know it was painted. It might look printed.
Yeah.
Like, that's been my goal since day one, was trying to make it look like I didn't paint it, but also I did paint it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do anything like photorealism or hyperrealism?
No, I'm a cartoonist. I've been a cartoonist since I was 8.
Would you ever incorporate that into your work?
I don't know, dude. It's not my lane. Obviously, everyone should grow and expand everything, but I literally have no desire to. I still find so much fulfillment in doing what I'm doing, and I just don't have the time. I have so many ideas of stuff I want to do. Like, I don't have time to try that right now. Yeah. Maybe someday, who knows? Yeah.
And you talked about like, the fact that you are kind of like a brand, a business, right? So the more success you get, does it become harder, or is this even an issue? Does it become harder to kind of create work for like creativity's sake? Or does the idea that like, you need to fulfill a need and, are you making like as many creative moves as you are business moves? Are they completely merged? Is there a split? Do you ever feel torn?
I'm really lucky in the fact that, like I said this earlier, and thank fucking God, but the minute any painting I make is done, it sells. Which over time, when I was starting out, I was really afraid that I'd make stuff that didn't sell, and I was really not being creative because I was worried. But especially within the last year or two, because I do have a consistent track record of producing quality work, and they do sell, it's allowed me more breathing room to get creative. For example, last year, my show in Los Angeles, it incorporated a lot more of the things I grew up with. Like, I am into punk rock. I really grew up in comic books, and I wanted to kind of incorporate those more into my work, especially the punk element. For example, the show I'm doing in November of this year, they're all based off some of my favorite songs. But that's me being creative, where it's not just fucking head blowing up anymore. It's like building this whole like scene with all these characters that are, in like a gang, and they all wear like insignias on their coats, and they all have these like, they're matching stuff, and they're attacking this other intellectual property, something like that. So I still get a lot of creative happiness out of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you still feel like you can, because that's the one thing that I also really love about your art, mate, is that even though you have like a very specific kind of style or look to your work, I can see how it, you know, evolves.
Yeah.
And so, you know, is that how you feel? Like you feel like you could do this till you're 80 years old and still kind of make those like evolutions and still have stuff to do?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I would say yeah, but that's me being super optimistic. I hope so.
Do you ever worry about not being able to?
Totally. One of the little bonuses of doing my podcast, you know, we've done over 100 now, and I've spoken to artists that, you know, are newer. I've spoken to guys that have been around forever and killing it, and I've spoken to guys who have been around forever, had their heyday, and still are doing well, but nowhere near what they were. Yeah. And so I'm kind of just, because I get to speak to all these people, I'm really being conscious of what I'm doing with myself, because I'm getting a lot of lessons from these older, wiser people, and like, they're going to be me if I don't change this one particular thing about me, or if I do this one thing, I can be more how they did it, and that's beneficial to me, you know? Like, you always hate to have some sort of idol that you looked up to when you got started in whatever you're doing, and you get to meet them, and they just look tired and burnt out, and they're angry. It's the fucking worst, man. It's happened to me so many times, and you look at those people and like, okay, what can I do to make sure I don't end up like that?
Yeah. Mate, completely, man. And the reason I asked the question is because it's something that I'm, you know, personally really interested in. I don't really consider myself much of an artist anymore, but I always have been, and I always dip in and out. And to be honest with you, a lot of the reasons why I'll dip out are kind of like, I'll psych myself out. It's like a psychological reason, you know, and I quit before I've begun and all that. But I just remember watching a few documentaries a couple of years ago that were about like Mark Rothko and Jackson Pollock, and the overwhelming sense I got from these artists, Jackson Pollock's a great example, is that the guy, you know, from having this really unique and like, you know, world famous style that he developed, he kind of got pigeonholed, or he pigeonholed himself into a corner. And what happened is that when he kind of like tried to evolve, okay, so, you know, as all artists want to do, okay, I've done splats on a canvas on the floor for years and years, now I want to do something else. People just wouldn't really fuck with his new work, you know? But, and it's, you know, it's kind of like understandable, you know? You're trying to sell, you're known for doing the splats on the ground, you're trying to sell a portrait, people are like, no, I want the splats on the ground. And, you know, and there's plenty of examples of this, but ultimately I think that probably led to him pretty much accidentally killing himself in a car, you know, like an alcoholic kind of like a drunk accident. And so I think it's like, you know, I'm not speaking to artists on your level every day, but I'll notice it with other artists. It's like these guys have an amazing style, like, you know, Retner or Cleon Peterson or whoever. But it's like if Retner or Cleon Peterson, you know, wants to kind of do something else, the guy or girl buying their work is like, no, man, I want the hieroglyphics above my mantelpiece. I don't, you know, I don't want the drawing of the dog.
You go see your favorite bands, you want to hear the fucking hits that you grew up with. You don't want to hear the new album. Yeah, it's like it's everything on earth, man. It's very sad, but you know, there are people that find ways to reinvent themselves not forever, but for a very long time, and find a very successful career by kind of staying in their lane but embellishing it, or not taking such a drastic turn, or not keep doing the same thing over and over. That's the challenge of it, isn't it? And when it comes down to it, it's no longer about just the art, it's also the business. The business side of me says continue to evolve, but stay in your lane because you have a market for what you're doing. That's the challenge. That's part of the fun of it.
It is. And I think you are doing that. And I like what you're saying as well. It's like, you know, especially with your last show, Control, you're delving into this kind of world that you're creating, you know, with the characters that you're using and their punk rock vibe. And I ultimately think that is such a smart way to play it. You do have to, if you build a kind of world for yourself and you can just transport yourself into that world, then you can look around and say, you know, what am I going to do next? And whether you like them or not, I feel like, and these are just the biggest artists, that are the first ones to come to me, and they get a lot of hate, but I feel like Jeff Koons and Damien Hirst are quite good at that.
Yeah, totally.
Like Damien Hirst has basically built like a fucking like world of death.
Yeah.
You know, but within that, he can sit down with his team, like pretty much, and just be like, okay, so death, drugs, go.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and it's like, well, we could take this idea and, you know, spin it like that.
Yeah.
So
I think that stuff's great. I love artists like that have this big world and they get shit on. Like, I think everybody gets shit on. It's just their critics are louder, but they're really doing it. They have this giant empire they built for themselves. They can really turn and do something different and it still falls under what they're doing. It's really incredible.
Yeah, man. No, it is, mate. So, Matt Gondek, is there anything deeper than just the fact it looks fucking cool that your work is like so violent?
I don't know. I've been drawing violent stuff since I was a kid. I don't know, man. It's really the only thing that, like, the only way to maybe describe it a little bit more was, like, I've said this before, but a lot of my stuff is nostalgia. Like, a lot of people use that stuff, and it's like a crutch, not only in the art world, but in being alive. You know, as you get older, things get harder, things get taken away, you have more responsibility. And I think it's your natural inclination for everybody to kind of just think back to the times in your life that were easier. And you start to think about when you were a child, when you had your parents looking over top of you and guiding your hand. And what did you like as a child? That's why I still listen to the same bands I did when I was 17, because they're safe for me. They're nice, right? But cartoons, comic books, that kind of stuff, you have those as a kid, and those are all these little safe, happy memories in your mind. But now you're an adult, and you're getting divorced, and you got fired, there's a fucking coronavirus, you can't even come to work anymore, and you just want these safe little things. But what I'm doing is taking that safe little thing you have and just fucking destroying it. You have nothing. Deal with it. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's cool, mate. And to be honest, though, a lot of the cartoons that you'll riff off are quite violent anyway.
Yeah.
Right? All those like...
Dude, I had to go to court a couple years ago for a mural I did in Florida. And there's all this other stuff, but one of their arguments was it was too violent because SpongeBob was on fire in it. And I swear to God...
So wait, who took you to court?
The town I was in. It was a little sleepy town in Florida.
Yeah.
And the old people didn't like a mural. I was like a gang member that I was a Los Angeles gang member that came to their city and did illegal graffiti. I got paid to do this really nice mural. It was Picasso's Guernica, but it was a spin on that, cartoon characters.
I know it.
So SpongeBob was one of the characters in it, and he's on fire, just like a character in that painting's on fire. Anyway, my what is it, attorney, lawyer, whatever, the guy on my side, one of his arguments, he literally held up a picture of SpongeBob from the cartoon and go, he's on fire in the cartoon. Matt's not making any claims that your kids are not already seeing. It's like, what fucking world is this that this is like a thing that adults fight about? I don't remember the question anymore.
No, that's fine, mate, but it's interesting because it's so true, you know. It isn't. I mean, I asked the question and I was like, "Yeah, it's violent, but it's really no more violent than Simpsons."
I don't paint blood. I don't do guts. I really have a hard time painting any female characters getting hurt. It just really, they deconstruct like all my paintings do, but I don't think I'd ever have them getting hurt in a way. I just think that's weird, especially as like a white guy to fucking paint that. Like, I'm not trying to glorify anything weird. But yeah, it's violent, but it's not like gory or anything. It's not like you couldn't. If you saw it, you wouldn't get grossed out. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I'm not the best painter, so maybe that's why you're grossed out. But it's not like anything terrible. No, you're not. And it's true. It's like a good joke. You know, a good stand-up comic can tell a joke that is like quite violent and graphic and vulgar, but as long as it's done delivered in the right way, you know, everyone gets it, and that's what you do, right? Yeah. Okay, mate. So how do you have you something caught your eye up there? Yeah, there's a lot of moving shadows. It's very nice in here. It's good, isn't it? It's a good motif. Yeah. No, I enjoy it. Mate, how do you stay creative? Do you have any kind of like routines, rituals, anything like that? You know how everyone gets like what's it called, mental blocks or whatever? Yeah. I would say 80% of the time I'm good to just go. Like I always, because my paintings take like a month and a half start to finish, I come up with at least one good idea every month. So I have something I can be working on, right? But I usually do this at the beginning of the year. You know, I don't drink for like 2 months. I go to the gym every day and I journal a lot. I can just write down everything. And that always kind of gives my brain like a kickstart for the year and keeps me like getting ideas I can use the rest of the year. Like the pop-up I have built out for the summer. And then my show that I have in November, that all came the first 2 weeks of this year, me journaling and eating right. And like my brain's like on overdrive, you know, and that usually carries me the rest of the year. I can just work on the stuff I thought of when I was sober, and now I can drink and have fun the rest of the year as long as I just work on the stuff I thought of when I was smart. Mate, that must be nice. That's a great way to do it. Just kind of get all your creativity done
at the start. Well, that's interesting then. So like, do you ever kind of wonder what's happening when you are being creative? Like, where does it come from? And I guess the reason I'm asking that is because to me, it's like you're kind of saying that you need to establish a bit of kind of like a bit of a kind of clean body and mind in order for whatever happens to happen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't need to do that, but it helps a lot, and it's just easier for me to think when I'm sober. So why? And because I take my career so seriously, I need that time. So like, why wouldn't I do that? But I don't. I mean, I think you asked some other question of like, what's weird about being an artist? For example, 2019, I spent an entire year making an art show. It opened up mid-November.
Yeah.
The day after the show's done. Fuck, now what am I doing? And it just comes fear again. Like, you have nothing. Like, start over. And so it comes from a point of that, like, getting to start at zero again and start building up again.
Is that honestly how it is? So you're talking about control, right?
Yeah, control.
And control, I imagine, like, made you, like, it got you a lot of, probably got you a lot of new fans, a lot of new fame, and a load of money.
Yeah.
As well, right? You pretty much sold out that
Everything's
show.
sold.
Everything's sold.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, like, how instant is that
the next
feeling?
day?
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you, man.
You couldn't ride off. You couldn't ride off the success for longer than a
also,
fucking evening.
my mind is like that, where I'm like, I really don't celebrate a lot of small victories, and that's one of the things I'm trying to address in my life. I really need to start doing that, but I have a hard time celebrating anything. So, literally, I had the opening. My parents came to town. I went out to dinner with like 9 of my close friends. It was a very, very great evening. That evening, I went and had fun. And the next morning, I woke up and I'm hungover and I have nothing I can sell, and I have nothing, and it immediately kicks right back in.
Wow.
It's good though. I'm happy living like this, like always keeping my mind going. Like,
yeah,
I have no problem with it. I like it.
Does that feeling, like the next morning, even though you're there and you're like, okay, blank slate, you're saying it's not like a bad feeling?
No, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like, I mean, let's be honest, everything's sold. So what I came up with worked. So that does encourage you positive reinforcement. You do something, everyone gives you a pat on the back, good job. You're like, fuck yeah, I'll come up with something else. If I had a show and it didn't work, I thank God at this point I don't have to worry about that right now, but I don't even think of that way anymore, So it's very good. It's exciting.
Yeah. And so mate, what is the kind of end goal? Do you have an end goal? Or
no.
You just
I'm do this forever.
Just keep going forever.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like how I like to be busy and I like to be useful. I don't know. I don't know what the end goal is.
Mate, crazy.
Yeah.
So, mate, I wanted to talk a little bit about like what's going on now. Not so much like maybe, COVID-19's kind of everywhere, a bit done to death. But how, let's talk a little bit about how we feel the art scene might be changing or adapting. Like, have you got any thoughts on that? Anything you notice? Because it seems to me like, and this is great that you can do it. You created this yourself, but you have a little bit of a luxury of almost being able to kind of sit back, work on some paintings, and ride it out, And so a brand like Secret Walls, we can't really do that. So we've had to kind of just adapt quickly, and just, all hands on deck. Like, shit, what are we going to do? We can't throw events. So how are we going to take those virtually? Yeah. Have you given any thought to that at all? And, are you looking to kind of like adapt your artwork the way that you might, you said one of your shows has kind of been cancelled?
Personally, looking at just one of my paintings on a wall, no, I haven't. I work with a gallery that sells my work, Avenue des Arts. There was, it's called the Urban Art Fair. It was supposed to happen mid-April in Paris. It obviously didn't happen. So they just moved that show to online. So instead of people being able to go to the Urban Art Fair to see my work, they hired Birdman, a really great photographer here in LA, to go and basically shoot the show virtually, where you can take a virtual tour to the gallery. I'm hoping and banking on the fact that by October everything's going to be back to normal. I don't have to worry about that. The only thing that really changed was my podcast. Just like you guys did, it was no longer in person; it was over Zoom. That's really the only thing I had to change. I actually had a question for you about how you guys kind of pivoted and you're doing all these online things every day now, like the tours and everything. have you guys started to get any sponsorship coming from that way yet? Because like obviously that's what everyone's doing right now. You can't have events right now or make money. So like, how are you guys monetizing? I mean, if you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to.
No, it's fine, mate. I mean, I think really the IG battles that we're doing and the Crib studio tours, I think what we're finding is that they are becoming like a catalyst to start conversations on bigger plans that are sponsored. Mm-hmm. So we're monetizing them in the sense that they're like leading us to other places. But luckily we're not in the position where we're like, we need to get these IG battles sponsored. Yeah. And it is kind of difficult as well in a sense. Like if we could do it easily, we would, because we've kind of had like a lot of artists battling and a lot of artists doing studio tours, and if we could be just like dishing them out product and money and stuff like that, then we'd love to. So it is kind of it's tough, but it's definitely like buffering up the kind of pitch deck that we're taking to brands.
Everyone is always saying it's going to be interesting how things are after this all goes away. And I think like this type of thing is really interesting to me, where, you guys became so sufficient to exist online. Like even me, like I have this really nice recording studio where I do my podcast, but I can't even use it right now. So I make do. Like things like that kind of intrigue me, where is it going to be hard to do face-to-face interviews? Or people going to be like, why would I come over there? We can just do Zoom. I've been doing them, or is it people going to be refreshed? Like I can't wait to go to another fucking Secret Walls battle, or, that's kind of stuff I'm just curious about to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird, but I think like in the same way that we're doing it here now, I would imagine that a lot of people, you can't be unsafe about it, but I think a lot of people will be hungry to, to come and have a little bit of like face-to-face interaction.
Totally. Yeah.
But mate, it's going to be really, really strange, how things kind of start to return to normal. Yeah. Especially for us, because we are, our bread and butter is doing live events that involve a crowd.
Yeah. Are you guys? I mean, not that you guys do like concerts, but like I've been hearing this shit where there's not gonna be concerts for 2 years, and like that's insane. Like, do you really think that's gonna? I really think what's going to happen is there's not going to be a fucking Beyonce concert, right? But the local kids are going to have their local scene, and they're going to start having shows, and kids are going to start going to shows again. And then some mid-tier band's going to see that and sneak on, and it's going to be very over time. But I don't think 2 years. Like, human beings, I don't know, dude. Like, I get being safe and everything, but like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I mean, but like, it's an interesting point, and who has the luxury to wait 2 years? I mean, those industries will just have to die. Like no one can hold on for that length of time. But I was thinking about that too. But I think kids are probably already doing this, or maybe not even just kids, but like having little underground, secret parties, right?
Yeah, of course they are.
Where they're all getting fucked up.
Yeah.
It'd be sick.
Yeah.
And you can't blame, that's what I'm finding, man. Like, I have been safe up to this point, but fucking hell, I'm a human.
And it doesn't help that summer's here now. And like your brain just like, go have fun. It's time for you to finally have fun.
Yeah.
And like, it's just like, you shouldn't drink and drive, but sometimes you do it. You shouldn't speed, but sometimes you do it. You shouldn't smoke, but sometimes you do it. Like, you can't be safe I should probably even say this, but you can't be safe every day of your life,
Yeah.
Go fucking live a little.
Well, especially when you're coming off the back of like weeks and
winter.
And months of like staying in and nothing being open.
Yeah.
And it was you on one of your podcast interviews where you're talking about that you're holding on to the fact that the first time you get to go back to the bar, and everyone's there,
it's going to be the best time ever.
Yeah.
Even if you're just going to have a drink with your friends, you're going to be so happy to see those guys.
You're going to want to hug everyone, but you can't.
No, you can't. No hugs yet. A couple months, no hugs. You can see them. Like today, I'm not going to hug you, but it's nice to see you face to face.
Yeah, no, it is, mate. It really is. And I think that's why I was really keen to make this happen like this. And I don't think we would have done this two weeks ago.
Yeah, same. Yeah. But it just felt time.
It did. And, I keep an eye on the news. And, it feels like it's okay. You're keeping your distance.
I'm way over here.
Where's your mask?
Oh, it's in my pocket.
I was going to wear mine, but when I talk, it just kind of slips off.
Yeah, same. I was gonna wear it if we're gonna be in how you normally do the interviews in the little area, but since we're out in the open,
in our tiny little podcast
I figured
studio,
I'd roll the dice.
where you pretty much have to sit on my lap.
Yeah.
To do it. So, mate, what's your gallery called? Avenue des Arts.
Yeah, it's not mine. I just show with them. Avenue des Arts. Yes.
One day.
Yeah.
How are they in this time? And
struggling.
Every
gallery is.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen there? Because I mean,
well, fortunately, Avenue des Arts has me, so they're still making money. That was egotistical, but fuck it. No, honestly though, it's not, like, all jokes aside, the whole art world is suffering because people aren't going to art shows. Like, speaking just for Avenue, they were supposed to do the Urban Art Fair. Yeah. A big show in Paris. Didn't do it, obviously. Yeah. I think a lot of galleries right now, just like everybody, they're turning to online sales. They're doing online shows, a lot of print releases, and I don't know how these, and like another thing, man, like everyone's saying they're like, oh, no one's buying anything now, but people are buying shit, man. Yeah. I saying a lot of weird shit, but like my market really hasn't suffered. Like we just had a sale last week, and like it was the best sale of my life. Yeah. Speaking about people like Greg Mike, who owns the ABV Gallery, he does a drink and doodle, once a month where you just spoke to him about it. You just talked to him about this. So I'm about to reference where, he invites artists to come to the gallery. They said they draw, and then the public can come and bet on the paintings or whatever, the artwork. Yeah. But because it was online, it was a much bigger audience. And he said the best sales ever, so there's still money to be made. It's just like, I think, as with anything in life, and this, I'm not saying what's going on isn't bad. It's fucking terrible. But a lot of people will use anything to just say, well, I'm not going to try because it's hard right now. And this is a huge fucking hard thing. But, like, you just got to fucking navigate through it and you can figure something out. I don't remember what the point was.
No, I'm with you. I think it's worth saying. And it's weird as well, though. It's strange. Because I agree with you. I don't think it's like, oh, no one's spending any money on anything, but it almost feels a little bit like Hunger Games or something. It's like certain people have been elected to just get fucked over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but generalizing, those are people that let themselves get fucked over all the time anyway. Bad things happen to everybody. Just how are you gonna bounce back from it? It's that shit,
Yeah, but I think you're right though. For certain people, like the people sitting there with a stash of money are still going to buy Matt Gondek prints and Sequels t-shirts. Yeah. Buy a Sequels t-shirt.
Especially, you're sitting at home not doing anything. You're just spending money. I have a lot of extra money right now because I'm not going out to eat as much. Yeah. No events, no travel. So, like, I'm sure everyone has that, like, they're going to be buying shit.
Not me, mate. I am spending all my money on Postmates.
Oh, you are? That's like $14 delivery fee and some shit.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, especially downtown. I get furious.
Well, mate, if you're, we live in a similar area, probably make similar money. If you get a Sugarfish delivery, it's insane amounts of money. They whack on like a $15 service fee. Yeah. Plus delivery fee.
I paid
plus tax.
I got it once, Sugarfish.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
I was trying to convince Terry to get it.
Oh, really?
His answer to me when I said you should try Sugarfish is, I can't, mate. And I was like, why? And he was like, I'm a sushi snob.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, and I was like, but that doesn't make sense. Sugarfish is amazing.
It's really good.
He was like, no, not good enough. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I think we've got to get Terry to...
That's so good there.
Take us out. Yeah, I love it. And we got one right near us.
Yeah, very convenient.
Yeah, man. All right, mate. Well, look, have you got anything that you want to plug? Talk about?
If you guys want to listen, if everyone listening, if they want to listen to a better podcast... I do one called Clean Break. It's a podcast dealing with art and business. We put out a new episode every Tuesday. It's at cleanbreakpodcast.com. I'm still making art. Just look at it. Gondek draws. I have no personal things to push right now.
That's great, man. Well, let's talk about your podcast actually quickly, host to host, because we're two hosts.
Yeah.
How do you like hosting?
It was hard at first. Yeah. For a couple, we've been doing it like 3 years, and it was tricky.
Why was it hard? Like, what about it? Nerve-wracking?
No, and I still do this sometimes. I'll find myself not engaging with my guest, where just like you have a list of topics to talk about, and especially when I got started, it was question 1, okay, answered. Question 2, and you kind of have to, as a host, you have to like take those things and kind of weave them into the next things, Yeah. And sometimes now I'll catch myself just fucking going through the motions.
Do you now not have questions?
I still do it, yeah, but I just like I have like I used to write down what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And now I just kind of like find some stuff and I just make like a little bulleted list.
This is helpful for me, mate, and really relevant because, yeah, I'm the same. And do you find, though, because this is the thing about it, it's like if you do have your structured questions, then you're relying on them. And as soon as there is a moment where you got to kind of deviate, you can be lost.
Totally, yeah.
Right?
Or what happens, and I found this out, was the guest will say something really interesting or funny or weird that doesn't go with your conversation, and you should immediately pivot and talk about that thing, flesh it out, because that's really interesting. But sometimes I wouldn't do that. Like, okay, well, back to my list of questions again. You know what I mean?
Do you know what, man? I noticed that one time on your podcast, and I'm still learning. So I'm the first to admit that I lose my way. You know, I'll get nervous. Have you ever done that? I'll make a bold statement that I do not mean and do not endorse in any way.
Yeah.
But it's just out of like, oh fuck, I'm feeling a bit lost. And then afterwards, I'll be like, I don't mean that. What was I even going to say to you there?
I go through the motions sometimes with my guests.
Yeah. So, you know, someone will be like, you know, and that's when my dad died and I lost my dog. And you'll be like, right, cool, gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha.
Move on.
Yeah, totally.
All right, mate. Well, look, thanks for those tips on the podcast.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming in. And it's just great to see a human being, you know, a bag of meat and flesh in front of me, not through Zoom.
Yeah.
With no delay.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a magical time.
I hope you've enjoyed it. And
it's been a pleasure.
Maybe invite me back on your podcast.
You were just there 2 months ago.
Yeah, but you do like one a day. How many do you do? One a day?
One a week. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But, mate, that was ages ago. There's probably been loads of people since then.
Yeah, there has.
Maybe get Terry back on.
There you go.
All right, mate. Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Talk to you next time.
Cheers.
Yeah.
We can even walk off, like how we came on.